There's been some movement, I guess, in the polls. Not really, though. At least we're learning a little bit about how people feel about the Trump conviction and how it might impact the election. Let's put this up there on the screen. This is the latest, really in-depth one from CBS News. You can see there, in the national polls, Trump is actually leading Biden at 50-49. But in the battlegrounds, somehow, Biden is leading Trump at 50-49. This could set us up, Krystal, for a potential nightmare scenario where Biden somehow wins the Electoral College, but Trump wins the popular vote. Can you imagine the stop the steal that will come out of that one, and then the changes in tune on how people feel about the Electoral College? I personally would like and enjoy that one. Let's go to the next one, though, for how this actually looks. Trump conviction and its factor in your vote. Important, keep this in mind, this is actual likely voters. 28% say major factor, 17% minor factor, 55% not a factor. Now, what are the actual major factors, you may ask? Let's put this up there on the screen. Well, 81% the economy, 75% inflation, 74% quote unquote state of democracy, then crime, border, gun policy, Trump conviction, a whopping 28% compared to the economy of 81%. Let's go to the next part, please, just to show people in terms of the registered voters. Keep in mind, registered are very, very different than likely. And they say here, how would you describe them in terms of the actual, in terms of the candidates? Tough. 66% say Trump is tough. 28% say Biden is tough. Energetic, 26% say Biden is energetic.
Imagine being 61%. That 26% who says Biden is
They've got to be. Hey, there's a lot of old people in this country. They're the ones who are saying it. Effective, 38% Biden is effective. 52% say Trump is effective. Competent, you have 40% on Biden, 49% for Trump. Compassionate, this is the only category where Biden actually beats Trump, 52-37. I would note, though, that 52 is a lot lower than it used to be, Krystal. It used to be in the high 70s in the past, and it was actually one of his major strengths, the whole cares about people like me.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next part, please, just to continue a little bit. Biden's executive order on migrants crossing the border, 70% people say they approve, so obviously that shows you why he did it in terms of the policy. And then finally, let's go to the next one and just show everybody, choice for president, if higher prices have been your hardship. This is a very important one. Amongst likely voters, 70%, nearly 70%, 69, say for Donald Trump is their choice if higher prices have been hardship. So clearly people who are feeling the economic squeeze want the change candidate. This fits with why we see movement, younger voters, Black, Hispanic voters, particularly young Black, Hispanic men, all drifting in the Trump category, mostly because they want a change to their major economic conditions. And also it explains, Krystal, why Biden is doing better in battleground states, predominantly whiter and predominantly older. It's the older the voter set, the better off Joe Biden is going to be, because they're going to be a lot more insulated from some of the problems that we have in the economy.
I mean, overall, Trump still beats Biden with older voters. Right. But when you look at what was the Biden coalition last time and who's sticking with him, older voters who voted for him last time are sticking with Joe Biden. Younger voters who voted for Joe Biden are not sticking with Joe Biden. And when you look at minorities, that's also where you've seen an erosion. So again, most polls still show Joe Biden with an edge among Latino voters. But when you're talking about where has his coalition that barely got across the finish line last time, where has that erosion occurred? It's young voters, it's diverse voters overwhelmingly. I mean, listen, a few things that are interesting here with regards to the Trump conviction. One thing that they do note is that of the people who say they're voting for Joe Biden as like a vote against Trump, that sentiment has increased post-conviction. So since the Biden team is betting so much on it just being a sort of anti-Trump sentiment out there, in that way, the Trump convictions have bolstered their argument a bit, and people are, more viewing the election a bit more through that frame. But it's pretty marginal. It's pretty marginal. And the other issue sets seem to be more important. Also interesting, Saagar, on the immigration thing, as I think you and I both predicted. Yeah, you have high approval rating for it, but people who say immigration is their number one issue, they're still not voting for Joe Biden.
Right.
It's not like that flipped them over to the Biden camp. So it didn't really gain him anything electorally, even though it was popular.
Biden is just all in the margins game at this point. His best hope is that he can keep a little bit of that suburban coalition, win in the battleground states. Remember, he can still lose Georgia and Arizona, and he could still win the presidency. I think at this point it's basically gone in terms of the Sun Belt. But it's, I guess it's theoretically still possible. He's got to hold on to Nevada, though. Nevada is a genuine actual battleground now at this point, and it's a real problem because those electoral votes really count to his possibility for winning. Trump just did a rally in Las Vegas, I think it was yesterday, in the middle of a heat wave, by the way. Spoke for over, I think, an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, people were falling out because of the heat. There were a lot of medical issues.
Right.
Guys, be careful out there.
Yeah, please be careful. Bring water if you're ever going to attend an event like that. Let's put this up there on the screen. They say in terms of a systematic review, not just CBS, there's been 5 national polls now conducted since the Trump conviction, basically showing the race either, quote, unchanged or moving slightly in the Biden direction. The New York Times Siena poll has recontacted registered voters who've taken part, and they found moving it from Trump up 3 to Trump up by 1. I mean, there's no way to really know exactly what it is, but we have not seen some sort of major shock to the system the way that many people may have wanted to see. I think it was eminently predictable given the nature of the charges and more. There was a temporary spike of Google interest in is Trump going to jail, et cetera. That's mostly just died down by that point, and I guess we're right back to fundamentals. So, well, really, I think the nature of the race is basically unchanged. And I mean, Biden's got to do something. We're not that far away from Election Day, and he's still in near coin toss territory, although I would personally give the edge to Trump right now.
I think the hope for Democratic Joe Biden supporters at this point is like, maybe Trump will get jail time. Maybe that'll change people's minds. Maybe that'll really shift the race. And first of all, I don't know that it's likely that Trump is getting any sort of prison time, certainly before Election Day, but in any case, these numbers would indicate you shouldn't be betting on that. One other thing that was interesting here is if you are a voter who sees this election as being a choice between Biden and Trump, Trump has a little bit of an edge. And that's a majority of voters, 51%, see it as a choice between Biden and Trump, which I think is probably the way to see it. Trump has a little small edge there. If you see it as a judgment about Trump, you're overwhelmingly voting for Joe Biden. If you see it as a judgment about Biden, you're overwhelmingly voting for Trump. So the Biden people are very invested in making this a referendum on Donald Trump, which is funny because he's not technically an incumbent. So that makes their task a little bit more difficult since he's not in office right now. And obviously for the Trump people, they really want to make it a referendum on Joe Biden. And they're benefiting from the majority of voters who see it as a choice and are feeling like they were better financially under Donald Trump.
Right, exactly. And I think that's really all it comes down to. We don't know for certain exactly how this will all work, but we are watching this. Both sides are acting as if it is a game of margins. Hence, Trump being in Nevada, aggressively courting a lot of these Latino voters. The Trump outreach is tapping rich people, their traditional donors, for as much money as possible, and they're blowing it out in terms of ads. On the Biden side, though, let's put this up there. It's funny. They recognize they have a problem with young voters. So they have recruited Hollywood veterans and Biden alums to launch a super PAC called Won't Pack Down with a budget of $25 million. And they have hired, quote, millennial and Gen Z writers, directors, and producers to help craft pro-Biden content that is specifically engineered to sell the octogenarian candidate to disillusioned and hard-to-reach voters who are under 30 years old. These movie industry creatives have credits from Saturday Night Live, Parks and Recreation, to Big Mouth. I don't actually know what Big Mouth is.
I don't either.
Have been meeting monthly for the last half year in a rented loft in downtown Los Angeles, and they are pitching 30 to 90-second influencer-style reels that could run everywhere to highly produced scripted ads. The group's first ads will appear on social media and streaming platforms, expected to drop in July. So everybody can look forward to that. If you don't pay for those premium versions of streaming services, folks, now's the time to sign up because I do not want to be subjected to that. But
I don't know. Could be kind of entertaining for the cringe factor.
But yeah, it's like $2 extra a month, right? Then you don't have to watch any of this stuff. So anyway, clearly they know they have a problem with voters under 30. You can see very clearly. It's also funny too if you read further. They're like their number one mission is to not be cringe, but then they named their organization Won't Pack Down. It's like you failed.
You failed on the first count.
You had one job. Yeah.
I mean, listen, they think they have a messaging problem, and the truth is they have a reality problem.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. Right. So it's not a mystery what would help ease young people's minds. You know, use your pressure to end the war on Gaza, and maybe like actually do something like secure housing affordability for young people, and which, you know, we covered last week. Gen Z says that's their number one issue. So maybe actually have a plan that's going to deliver for them economically and stop supporting a genocide. And maybe then you might see your poll numbers move. Won't Pack Down with their influencer style TikTok reels. Ugh. Good luck, guys. Good luck.
Trump has also apparently joined TikTok. Let me see. Let's see how many followers that he actually has. He's got about, 6.7 million. So anyway, he's starting to make headroads, I guess. He apparently, they have a large organization. One of the people who works for him is a guy named Johnny McEntee, who is, it's hard to, I guess he would be the head of their personnel office. He's like an enforcer, Trump-style enforcer, who would be the major personnel decider. He's got like 1.4 million followers on Instagram, and he just makes a bunch of like pro-conservative reels. So they actually, I'm not gonna say they're winning per se, but they're competing, I guess, in the—
I saw something about Trump content does well on TikTok.
Apparently it does very well.
Outperforms Biden, but that might be a really low bar.
Is it pro-Trump content or is it like Trump meme content, right? There are so many Trump memes out there. The whole like, oh, what? You're telling me for the first time?
That's
or
true.
I am the chosen one. I mean, he has all these hilarious, riffs from the past. Would you classify that as pro-Trump? Like, not really.
True.
Most of the time it's being used as, even Biden, I think I was telling you, there's a lot of memes that splice like his old man moments as a meme being like me whenever I hear about McDonald's deal. And it's like Biden creepily turning to the camera.
True.
It doesn't have anything to do with them. It's just, he's like the subject or part of the meme.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's kind of mocking.
Yeah, exactly. It mocks both of them.
Yeah, would you classify that as pro? That's true. And it comes obviously on the heels of that report we brought you before about how they're hiring a quote-unquote meme manager over on the Biden camp to also try to deal with their problems with young voters. I mean, I don't think they get it, or they're not willing to get it, or whatever. Like they really think like, oh, if we just package it better, if we just do a larger ad spend or whatever, it's going to turn it around. And I don't think that they are correct about that. But I guess we're going to find out.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.